Frenchie's Art Gallery, located on historic Oak Street beside the Maple Leaf Bar. With over 3,000 square feet of space, it features a large gallery front room and Frenchie's personal art studio. Frenchie's Art Gallery is also connected to the Maple Leaf Courtyard, which is ideal for the New Orleans night scene. Frenchie's Art Gallery, 8314 Oak Street. Yeah, you're right.
So here's the bottom line. Well, it's funny that you say that. Let me tell you. Good evening and happy 4th of July and welcome to a special edition of Primetime Sports. I cannot wait for this show. We have in honor of the Independence Day celebration, which has been the entire weekend pretty much, culminating in today, of course, the 4th of July. But we're going to have the brand new World War II Museum CEO and president. That's right, Stephen Watson, who, by the way, is originally from Scotland, but he was an athlete at Nicholls State. He's got an incredible story on his way. He's been with the museum for about a decade and a half, and he is now the president. So in honor of the 4th of July and all the freedoms that we have, obviously a big part of that was World War II, and we're going to celebrate that and talk to Stephen Watson in a little bit. Also, last week I teased this, but we have Dee Breaux, the LSU gymnastics coach, who too many times she's been Coach of the Year in both the national scene and the SEC scene. But she's been at LSU for 40 years. They call her the Dean of Coaches there, been there longer than anybody else. She was a national runner-up the last 2 seasons to the Oklahoma Sooners. Congratulations to her. She's coming up. But Clarence Verdin, this guy is amazing. I love him. He's got a Super Bowl ring. He's got a couple Pro Bowls. But more than that, he's a fantastic person, and he is coming up soon. He's got a funny story to tell. He's one of the best I've ever heard giving a speech, but he's going to be right here as well. And Dennis Tracey, you're talking about incredible stories. This guy, he wrote Dale Brown when he was in high school and then in college and asked him if he could walk on. And that walk on, well, that led him to a spot on a team with Chris Jackson, Shaquille O'Neal, and Stanley Roberts, one of the most talented teams in history. And he parlayed that relationship with Shaquille O'Neal. He lived with him in Orlando, but he's going to come on and tell his entire story right here on Primetime Sports. It's your Independence Day special. Stay tuned. Hi, welcome back to Primetime Sports. Like I said, this is our 4th of July edition, and what better way than to bring the brand new CEO and president of the National World War II Museum here in New Orleans. It's one of the things that we're most proud of. This is the preeminent World War II museum. It was a D-Day museum at first, and now it's expanded into something so special. But I have Stephen Watson. And the story of Stephen Watson is even more incredible than the rise to become the CEO and president, because Stephen is from Scotland, okay? And he happened to go to Nicholls State in Thibodeau. And when I think of Scotland, I automatically think of Cajuns. So tell us real quick. First of all, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And congratulations on your new honor, obviously being the president of the museum. But talk about growing up in Scotland, and how in the world did you make it down to Thibodeau, Louisiana?
Well, it's a crazy story. You know, I grew up on a farm, really, in the middle of nowhere in Scotland. And as a teenager, you know, was pretty good as a distance runner, and ended up actually winning our national high school 5K championship as a senior, and represented Scotland, and actually ended up getting recruited to come to Nicholls, which to this place called Fibedox, as I described it back then. And one August, Fibedox, you know, that's kind of how we Scots thought you pronounced it, and ended up getting the scholarship offer, and actually ended up coming over here with 5 other distance runners from Scotland. We pretty much had an all Scottish distance team at Nichols.
Are you the only
90s.
5 Scottish people from Scotland, obviously, that have ever gone to Nichols?
I think we might be the only 5.
But y'all all
Scottish.
came together?
We all came together, and pretty much we've all stayed. We've got a guy who's in Lafayette, a guy who's in Gonzales, one in Houma, one in Seattle, but it was just an amazing experience. We all really weren't sure what we were getting into, but the opportunity to come and continue our running career and go to college was something we all wanted to do. And frankly, coming to Thibodaux, the people were just so welcoming. The university environment was just really friendly, and we loved it. And this is home now.
I think the question is, how does one become a museum like this? This is like a Smithsonian times 2. I lived in D.C. I know this is every bit as good as any of them. How does one become the CEO and president of a museum?
That's a good question. I've been at the museum 15 years, and I came right after sort of the D-Day Museum had opened, right at the very beginning of the...
Like 2000-ish? Is that...
It opened 2000.
Yeah.
I got there 2002. And that was right at the beginning of the board deciding to go beyond D-Day and tell the whole story.
Right.
And... I got an opportunity at the beginning to, help raise some of the money, was given some, additional opportunities along the way. And really, I'm just a lucky guy that landed at a great place with a big story to tell, worked hard, and had people that have given me opportunities. And to be here in 2017 and be the president and CEO, there's no way you could script that or plan for it. So
you still have traces of the Scottish accent, but have you lost some in the process of being here for about 25 years?
Oh, yeah. My wife hates it. She says she married a Scot and
right.
sounds American. But, it's funny. Some people don't lose any of their accent.
Yeah.
Some people lose it all, and I've lost more than most.
But you still have it. So
a wee bit.
It's
There's
there.
a wee bit there.
Yeah, a wee bit. Give me the old Scottish accent real quick.
Okay, it's not that bad. I haven't lost that all you can.
See, I love that too, though. I love it too. But I can understand you more now.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. So as far as where'd you come from before this? As far as like work-wise, how'd you get to the museum? I think you might have been in radio or working for a radio station.
So actually, in graduate school, was helping Nichols Athletics raise money.
Right.
That really helped me get my first job. In fact, actually, it was Tim Rebow, who is the head coach at Nichols football.
Yes.
One of his friends was the head of marketing at the Saints, and he actually got me a job there as a volunteer on Saints game days. That experience actually is what got me my first job in New Orleans. I was the director of development for WWNO, the local NPR station.
Yes.
Actually taught marketing at UNO for 4.5 years.
Okay.
So was there for almost 5 years, and that experience is what got me the fundraising job at the museum in 2002.
I have had some very good friends work at WWNO, and some of the brighter people that I know. It's a great launching pad for a number of things. You're right. I got to talk about the museum because it's phenomenal. I remember going when it was just a D-Day museum. I'm a history buff. For those of you who don't know, I love it as much as music and sports. Equally, I love it. But then I remember when they brought in the obviously the Road to Tokyo side. I mean, going in, obviously the World War II is not just over in Europe.
Yeah.
Obviously, it was a big part in the Pacific Ocean as well. But talk about the progress of where it is, and now you have the Arsenal of Democracy just opening as well, the PT-305 tank that goes in the water. Talk about these things because these are brand new additions.
So we've had just a remarkable run in the last few years. You mentioned Road to Tokyo, Road to Berlin. Those really transformed the visitor experience. Now we have comprehensive galleries that help the visitor understand the entire experience in Europe, the entire experience in the Pacific. Our Arsenal of Democracy exhibit that opened 2 weeks ago, that's kind of the part of the story that a lot of Americans don't realize. How did we get into this war in the first place?
Yes.
Everyone knows about Pearl Harbor, but a lot of people don't really understand what was going on around the world, both here at home leading up to the attack on Pearl Harbor. There was a lot of debate about whether we should get in the war, should we not get in the war, should we help the British. So our new exhibit, the first part sort of tells the story leading up to Pearl Harbor. There's a great, really powerful experience about the attack on Pearl Harbor and the Japanese advance after that. And then the second part of that new exhibit really gets into what was happening on the home front. What was happening with manufacturing, millions of people signing up, volunteering for service, women going into the workplace. And it also tells some of the challenges that we were still faced at that time. We still had a segregated military. We had interned Japanese Americans. So we always try and tell a true, authentic story. And this new exhibit really gets to a part of our mission about, why did we fight and how did we get into this war in the first place.
So you get to meet Tom Hanks and get to know him as well?
I've met Tom Hanks a few times.
This is a legend that's been a spokesman for this museum. You see Tom Brokaw as well.
Yeah, I met Tom Hanks. Actually, the first time I met Tom Hanks, he walked up to me and he said, "You must be Stephen Watson." And I was like stunned, and then I realized I had a name badge on. So
that's Tom Hanks.
That's Tom Hanks.
By the way, you're the only Scottish-born president of a major museum here in the States?
Wow. In the state, for sure. In the country, probably, too, I'd guess. Yeah.
Well, I meant the States, meaning the entire United States.
Country. Yeah, I guess I am, probably.
If it's not Scottish, it's crap, as they say.
That's correct.
Say it for me, please, can you?
If it's not Scottish, it's crap.
It's crap. All right, you say it much better than me. Although I do have Scottish roots as well. Not a whole lot, but I do have 25% Scottish.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, yeah. I'm 50-50 on both sides of my family, 25. But it's been an honor to have you, and I hope this is not the last time, because when we have more time, I want to talk about that track career at Nichols. We are a sports show, but I also love to have entertainment. I think this is great entertainment for the family. So
thank you, Scott.
I appreciate you so much. Hey, we have a tradition. You are a Saints season ticket holder,
yes, sir.
So we will have you sign the Saints ball. Pop me one good one down there. Stephen Watson, please check out the museum. By the way, coming up on this show, I have one of the greatest characters of all time. He played with Shaq and Stanley. His name is Dennis Tracey. I have two-time national runner-up, two-time national coach of the year, Breaux, on this show as well, and it's a great one. Stay tuned. We've got more guests than that right here on Primetime Sports. Welcome back to Primetime Sports. This is our 4th of July edition, and I can't wait. Hey, what's better than 4th of July? Well, gymnastics. That's right. I have the two-time defending runner-up in the national gymnastics. That is, of course, the head coach of LSU, Breaux. Her real name, given name, is Sarah, but she goes by Dee. Welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Man, I love you wearing the LSU yellow. You are, they call the dean of coaches at LSU. Do they call you the dean around campus?
I don't think anybody calls me the dean. I think they just pretty much stick with Dee. But I don't know what they call me behind my back. But pretty much to my face, it's Dee.
So if you started coaching there 40 years ago, this was your 40th season, did you start coaching when you were like 5 or 6?
No, I started at LSU actually when I was in graduate school. I had the opportunity to transfer. I wanted to get my final degree from LSU. So when my coach, who was Vanny Edwards at the time at Southeastern, when he left, I had already started coaching and transferred and was in graduate school, and I got a phone call from Carl Maddox, said, "Are you interested? We're gonna take the program to the varsity level and start offering scholarships." And I'm like, well, that would kind of be a dream come true. So I went and interviewed, and Pat Newman, who was a coordinator of women's sports at the time, and this was 1977.
Right.
And the rest is history.
Was Carl the AD at the time?
Carl was my AD.
All right, this makes me think about this because I have been around LSU not long after that. I know they had Carl, and I believe they had Paul Dietzel, who obviously won a national championship. Very football-oriented.
He followed Carl.
Very football-oriented. Obviously he's an Army guy and coach.
Yeah.
And then you had Bob Broadhead. And I'm trying to think, Joe Dean was after that.
Bob was kind of a flash in the pan.
Flash in the pan.
But you know what? In defense of Bob, a lot of vision that he had are things that we're doing now. He unveiled the boxes in Tiger Stadium,
right,
and
yes,
a much larger and grander baseball stadium. So because he brought Skip in,
right,
and he really was a visionary, but could not make it happen in South Louisiana.
Right.
And then after that, we ended up with Joe Dean.
Yeah, and Joe Dean, obviously basketball star at LSU, worked for Converse. But that brings me to my next thing, because I remember first hearing a lot about gymnastics with Skip Bertman when he took over. Now, tell me if I'm right or wrong. Skip Bertman really had some vision himself for this program, and you'd already been there for a couple decades, but tell what he did to keep it going.
Well, Skip was a mentor, and he was a very good friend. And during the Joe Dean era, if we needed something, if I needed something that I couldn't get.
Did you say Jodine error?
Yeah, I did. During that period of time, if we needed something, I'd go to Skip, and he had a huge foundation, his Tiger Athletic Foundation. And he raised money, big club, and we were trying to get traction, trying to grow, and in the top 10, stand in the top 10 consistently. But if we needed heart monitors or grips or things like that, just for the program, we'd go to Skip, and he'd say, sure, and he'd buy it for us through his Tiger Athletic Foundation monies that he raised. And when he became the athletic director, he was that guy that if you help yourself, I'm going to help you. If you go out and give away tickets and do what I do, and how he created and did everything he did to put his program on the forefront, because that doesn't happen by accident.
Right.
It happens because the person that's in charge, the head coach, is totally invested, and he made it happen by being invested and following his lead. I did a lot of things that he did, and then went way beyond the things that he did, because I felt like we had to try harder.
When you were a little baby girl in Donaldsonville, what was your name given when you were born?
Well, my given name was on my birth certificate was Sarah, but I never was ever called Sarah.
Never ever?
Never ever.
Okay, so DD is unique, and I say this because it's D hyphen and D.
And we put it in quotation marks because it's a nickname.
Okay. Yeah. So I just found this funny because I was like, okay, it's a hyphen, and I remember not hyphening your name on a text once. I said, no, let me hyphen it because that's how I always say it. And
I always like, oh, thank you. They spelled my name right.
Right. All right, now here it is again. You spelled it right, but tell me how you got this name, DD.
Well, if you know anything about Donaldsonville, it's just this incredible melting pot of a lot of different people from different countries, and like you got the Italians and the Lebanese, and you get this incredible Cajun, and then you get these Creoles, and you've got such a melting pot.
It's a beautiful melting pot, if you ask me, right? Yeah.
And Miss Rosalie Mastretta, Bernardo's, Bernie Mastretta, his mother was my mother's best friend, and she came to the house to take care of my older two brothers and sisters when she went to the hospital. And at that time, Railroad Avenue, you had 3 little doctors' offices on Railroad Avenue, and I went to Dr. LeBlanc's office. My mother did for me to be born. And Miss Rosalie went to our house, and she kept telling my brother and sister, now when your mama comes home, she's going to have a little Dee baby. And I was never anything.
Dee. That's how it is.
Dee.
From birth. That is amazing. I love stories like that. I'm going to have another story because I played a lot of basketball as a student at LSU. I played a lot of intramurals. I was always at the field house. And I always remember, you've probably been there maybe 5 years at most as a coach. And I remember seeing the gymnastics team tucked away in the corner. It was a nice facility at the time, kind of state of the art. But I've seen pictures of the new facility, which to me is one of the greatest there is.
It's a grand facility. They wanted me to be in the old gym armory, and I'm like, nope, not going to happen. So Ernie Hill, who was at LSU at the time running the field house, said, hey, we'll create you a space. And so they did. But when Joe Oliva came, and I started talking about our need for a safe, modern training facility. I had a lot of athletic directors that listened but never heard.
Really?
And Joe Oliva was like, okay, and he believes that your facilities, your tools, you have to have the best if you're going to be the best. And he has given us more opportunity to be successful than I think the general public has any idea. And you put his vision and his enthusiasm for what it takes to be a champion, and you couple that with the power of Tiger Athletic Foundation and all the great people that support us at the grassroots level, and then up that pyramid to the people that just give us the very most amount of money. I had some incredible donations, some incredible people that stepped up to the plate and said, I believe this is going to happen, and here's a tremendous amount of money. And
that's amazing,
it happened.
DD.
And now we have the finest training center in the nation.
Could you have envisioned this, honestly, in 1978, that you would have been an 8-time SEC Coach of the Year, 2-time National Coach of the Year, and many more times this NCAA Regional, which is a Central Region Coach of the Year, and now you have this state-of-the-art facility. Think back to 78 and think back to what you really thought this could be. Is this beyond your wildest expectations, or do you think this could happen?
No, it is not. It is not beyond my wildest. I think that every sport at LSU, every program has the opportunity to be successful at the highest level. We're given the resources. We have a tremendous amount of support. Our fan support is just awesome. Look what's happening in Omaha. That's fan support. That's people giving of themselves to uplift LSU and our athletes so that they can compete at the highest level. And it's just an amazing place to be. And so, like 1981, we won the first SEC Gymnastics Championship.
Yes, you did.
And then we had a lot of years where we finished second and third, and we weren't at that champion level, at the peak level. But now we have the finest facility. I have the finest coaching staff.
Right.
Jay Clark, who was the head coach at Georgia, is now my associate head coach at LSU. Bob Moore has been with me for 17 years. He's coached more individual national champions than any other vaulting coach in the country. So, I mean, our resources, and I call it my village, our person that does our graphic art, my sports information person, my strength coach, our trainer, my academic coach, all those people behind the wheels, that's my village, and we're the best in the nation at what we do.
I can see how you get players to come, and I can see how they respond to you. Just my first time spending any time with you, and you have that magnetic personality.
Thank you.
Hey, I have to ask you one thing. You just got inducted to one of the greatest honors of any athlete or coach that you can do. It's the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. It just happened a week and a half ago.
Wow.
And tell us about this. Those are some other LSU players and athletes that were there.
You know, Coach Didier, I met his family. He was at LSU before I was. I think, and I could be wrong on this, but I think he coached the baseball team before Jack LeMabe did. I think that, you know, remember Jack LeMabe, who was there before Skip?
Sure.
But Coach Didier, his name is on the walls
Coach
at
Smith
LSU.
As well over there.
Coach Smith,
yeah,
that's right. So he was probably preceded him.
Right.
But Eddie Kinnison. You know, I knew Eddie. I watched him play, but God, I wasn't in love with him.
Right.
I'm in love with him.
Right.
He was a great guy.
Yes.
David Tom.
Yes.
What a funny, dry humor, just, you know, a fabulous
That was my era at LSU,
being.
was David Tom.
And now his son is there.
Yeah.
And Chuck Winstead came and for the
wonderful
for the
time
banquet.
though, right?
Oh, it was amazing in Natchitoches.
Look at you,
what a great that.
She's always colorful. You could have won the Sacred Strong Award last week.
And it was that was our little press conference, and we didn't know we were going to have to speak. Nobody told us.
Right.
And so we were all looking at each other going, what are we going to say? So fortunately, I didn't have to go first. I was like in the middle of the pack. So I had the opportunity.
I have a feeling you did pretty well.
I did fine. I got to tell my favorite joke about the three guys swimming across the river. So, since my daughters weren't with me, they're like, "Mama, don't tell that joke again." But it was a new audience.
Right.
So I got to do that, and it was amazing. But Ronnie Rance, Doug
I love
Ireland,
Ronnie Rance.
they have done a great job.
Yes.
But Ronnie has I think, breathed new life into it. I said 60 in my speech.
He's got that personality.
But it's like a 50-year-old tradition.
Yes.
I mean, this Hall of Fame thing, and we've got a beautiful museum that was built, and I'm just hoping that the state will continue to fund that museum, and so that it can stay vibrant and stay alive. Because so many people, if you go in there, it's like all those people that have passed away, or all those people that are inducted that are still alive, they're living and they're walking around in that museum because you see their things, you see it, and it's just, you know, if you're passing through Natchitoches, you need to stop. It's also a destination. Yeah. But what a great little city. We had parties at the Landing restaurant. We just did so many things that were just a lot of fun. I got a huge kick out of meeting Edward Reed.
Yes, Ed Reed.
Oh, my God.
Destrehan.
You got to get that guy on your show.
No, he will be on the show, trust me.
From Destrehan. Yeah. And what a story.
Yeah.
He has a great story.
I know his story
And look,
well.
He tells us he went to Miami because of the palm trees.
And also because Curtis Johnson got him down there.
I know,
Curtis Johnson.
And some other things, too. But he told us in the press conference, the pine trees, palm trees. So I'm like, okay, so what I need to do is go back and tell Coach O that to get the best running back in the nation, we need palm trees
Bring
around.
the palm trees, right?
We can
Put
do
them
that.
all around Tiger Stadium.
Trust me. Joe Oliva will do palm trees if he thinks that it's going to help us recruit.
Well, I love that you love Joe Oliva.
I love me some Joe Oliva.
This has been awesome. It's been my honor to have you on this show.
It was a pleasure being here.
And here's a wonderful gift certificate. Take whoever you love, your kids, whoever, your grandkids, anybody that wants to go. It's Chase Delachey's. It's uptown.
Chase Delachey's. Okay.
And we know this is an LSU signing ball here.
I love football.
Yeah,
I
you're
love
right.
football.
D, bro. That's D and a hyphen D.
I'm going to sign by T. Will right here.
It has been a pleasure to have you on. Hey, another LSU athlete that you may or may not know, Dennis Tracey, who is a legend at De La Salle, one of the greatest teams ever, 40-1. He also played with Shaq and Stanley and a guy named Chris Jackson, and he also worked with Shaq in Orlando for many years. So he's coming up next right here on Primetime Sports, your 4th of July edition.
Rock and roll will never die. It's old New Orleans, my, oh my. Come on, baby, let's go rock and roll at the city lane. All night, let's roll, let's rock and roll. Baby, do the rock and roll. At Mid-City Lane's the home of rock and roll.
The owners of the Delachey's Wine Bar on St. Charles Avenue have opened up their newest creation uptown on Maple Street called Chez Delachey, a new local wine bistro featuring a larger menu of small and large plates, a brighter atmosphere, and full table service. Additionally, patrons can enjoy a large patio out front as well as an extensive wine list offering selections from around the world. It's Chez Delachey, 7708 Maple Street between Carrollton and Broadway.
Crescent City Steakhouse, a true neighborhood restaurant operated by the Vojkovic family since 1934, is the oldest steakhouse in the city of New Orleans. Serving only hand-cut, prime-aged, corn-fed beef for over 80 years, Crescent City Steakhouse has become a dining destination for both die-hard locals and adventurous travelers who seek traditional, timeless New Orleans cuisine. Crescent City Steakhouse, 1001 North Broad, on the corner of St. Philip, in the heart of New Orleans. Welcome back to Primetime Sports. It is our special 4th of July edition. I can't wait. I want to thank Dee Breaux, who was fabulous just now. And coming up next, don't forget the great story of Dennis Tracey, who played on that incredibly talented team with Shaquille O'Neal, Chris Jackson, who to me is the most electrifying player in the history of college basketball, period. And I was a Pistol Pete fanatic, but that guy was unbelievable. And Stanley Roberts, that's coming up, but stay tuned for that. But right now, I've got a guy that was a 2-time Pro Bowler in the National Football League. That's right, he also won a Super Bowl. That was with the Redskins. He was a Pro Bowler with the Indianapolis Colts. And how about this? Over 6,500 yards in return yards. That is fantastic. That was one of the NFL's very best during that stretch. And I think they robbed him of 2 Pro Bowls, in my opinion. His name is Clarence Verdin. He's a local guy. He's from the Bayou. And by the way, he told me that the only time Bobby Hebert lost that senior year in 1977 when they won the state championship with South Lafourche, well, that was his team, South Terrebonne, and here he is. Yeah, so you beat Bobby Hebert's team. He makes it seem like he went undefeated.
Oh, no.
So it was a close game, though.
It was a close game, and we had to hurry up and run out of the stadium.
Yeah. All right, you're Bayou born. I actually got to meet you very briefly about 2-3 months ago. You were speaking at a Tommy Bowden function, and you were amazing. I was just like, my goodness, Mike Detillier had been talking about you to come on the show. Obviously, another Bayou bred guy. And he's like, man, you got to get Clarence on. And then I was like, I was planning on it the whole time. And then I heard you talk. I'm like, this is the guy? You were fantastic.
I appreciate it, man. Yeah, that's what they called me in the NFL, CNN. That was my nickname. And,
because you have the personality?
Yeah, I just talk, just constantly talk. You know, they's like, man, shut up. You CNN. So Coach Gibbs, that's his name, CNN.
So Coach Gibbs was obviously the Washington Redskins.
Yes, sir.
Let's jump right in it. You went to USL, which is now Louisiana Lafayette, but it used to obviously be called University of Southwest Louisiana, Raging Cajuns. Right. Tell me the story about how you got drafted. There was no cell phones back in the 80s.
Wasn't no cell phone.
You know, there wasn't much coverage of the draft.
Right.
Kind of give me the story and let everybody know how you got drafted by the Redskins.
By the Redskins, like I said, I was in the USFL at the time, and And I was in Houston. I had wasn't making that much money. I was like $300 a week. I was on the developmental squad.
Right.
So you're on the developmental squad, you had like a little per diem weekly money.
Well, that salary's developmental too.
Right, exactly. So, I wasn't making money, so I had to live in an apartment complex. In the apartment complex, I couldn't afford a phone, so what I did, I told them to give me an apartment right on side of the laundry room, because the laundry room back then, they had the telephones. So I give people that number. I hear it ring, open up my door, step out, and answer.
That's hilarious. I love it.
So I'm watching the draft and then realize that I got drafted. I'm eating cereals, and then my mom called, like, you need to get home because, you just got drafted. They say some of the Redskins, but then when I got to the complex with the gamblers, everybody was like, dude, what you going to do? You going to leave? I'm like, leave what? You got drafted Redskins? I'm like, nobody drafted me. Not knowing, I heard him call my name, but it didn't register.
It didn't register.
And so I make it on back to do.
So you're sitting there watching the draft, and it just never registered.
Little TV I had, little TV.
It's a little small.
Yeah, little small thing I can carry. And
there's no flat screens.
No, not then. I couldn't afford nothing. Little monitor. And man, I went home and called the Redskins and, man, talked to Bobby, and, man, and my mom, she on the other line, and when she heard the money that I was gonna make, she was like passed out, man. I mean, that was probably the weirdest thing I ever seen. But from that day forward, man, my life changed. My life changed.
I'm assuming for the better.
For the better, man.
I mean, talk about you went. By the way, the Redskins of the '80s aren't the Redskins of today. This was a dominant football team. I lived there in the late '80s for 3.5, 4 years. They're all Redskins, and they were kind of like Saints fans in a way, a little fanatical in a way, in a good way. Except they were winning at the time, so you went into a winning program, and then you got yourself a Super Bowl ring. I mean, right off the bat, you said this is easy. This NFL stuff.
And I thought, I said, well, and it's just crazy part when I won the Super Bowl, I'm like, dude, this easy. Like you said, this easy, man. I'm gonna get 1,000 of these rings.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna get 1,000 of them.
I didn't even see the playoff after that. Once I got to Indianapolis, But the one thing about the team, like say Joe Gibbs, man, he operated a strict business type organization. I mean, it was no nonsense type team. Now we had a Dexter Manley, and, but he performed on the field. But Gibbs kind of kept that in control. But you don't see the thing that you see now, where players do the outbursts and with the media and all that foolishness, man. Not on Joe Gibbs' team.
When you mentioned Dexter Manley, that's out of the blue, because there's two things that come to mind. If you're a Saints fan, you might remember one, when he spit in the eye of Jim Dombrowski and got him to get off sides, and they won a pivotal game. And the other was when Mike Ditka said he had the IQ of a grapefruit.
I was there when he actually, before the game, he dealt with Mike Ditka.
Oh, really?
Yeah, man.
So the IQ of a grapefruit thing was big.
Iron Mike is not Iron Mike, man.
No, really? He backed down.
He backed down.
He backed down. I'd back down to Dexter, too. That was a mean dude.
Oh, yeah. He was a real, and it should be, to me, he should be in the Hall of Fame, man.
Yeah.
I mean, despite his off the field, situations,
right.
I mean, I feel a lot of guys should be in there. I'm kind of, with the Hall of Fame picking, man, it's kind of biased to me.
Well, just kind of like the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame, which is one of the greatest. We have Dee Breaux, who was just on the show. She's part of it, and they love LSU, which is a great university. I went there.
LSU must have the committee, voting committee.
But hey, think about this guy, two-time Pro Bowler. He went to USL, now Louisiana Lafayette. All right, I have to ask you, because your main years in the NFL were with the Colts. This was the pre-Jim Moore Colts for the most part. He was with the Saints still. This is pre-Peyton Manning. But talk about your run there, because you still got 7 touchdown receptions, but you made your name as a punt and kick returner. Right, exactly. So talk about that.
When I got with the Reds, with the Indianapolis Colts, they traded me and Eric Dickerson around the same time. So I'm like, well, man, this is going to be my cash in. I'm going to get there. Now I can play receiver, because with the Redskins, you had Art Monk, Gary Clark,
Ricky Sanders, right?
Clint Didier. We had a ton of guys on that team that could play. And so when I got to the Colts, I'm like, well, dude, I don't have no competition, man. I'm bringing speed to the game and kind of changing it. And when I got there, I went to the coach Ron Meyer. He was kind of. They don't make him like. They don't make him like.
Let's just be honest.
Yeah.
His name came up in conversation with me yesterday. He's the one that did the snow plow.
Dude, no, I done seen him
with the
page himself in the airport.
He paged himself.
He was paging himself in the airport.
To make himself look important.
To make himself in there. Coach Ron Meyer, the Indianapolis coach, can you please come to Terminal 3?
Oh,
and he'd stand up and everybody like, oh, Coach Ron Meyer. And so Eric Dick's like, dude, that ain't nothing.
Yeah, you coached him at SMU.
Right.
That's right.
Dick could tell me the stories.
The Pony Express.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, so Ron, man, when I go to his office, like, hey, man, I need to catch the ball. He say, do you know who's in the backfield? I'm like, yeah, Eric Dixon. He say, we're going to run the ball until he say he's tired. Other than that, you just block. You know
so he just said,
oh, yeah.
He said, dude, do you know who is in the backfield?
Oh, yeah. He just made a point, just blank. But then when I started scoring, Irsay is like, hey, man, get the ball in this guy's hand. So Irsay had to come step in and say, hey, man, we need to utilize Clarence a lot more in the offense. Just get the ball in his hand.
Clarence, I know that you scored a ton of touchdowns. Is there one that you just think back, you're like, man, I was really good on that play?
I think probably Miami in a Monday night against Cleveland.
Prime time.
Yeah, and I was like, I wasn't a punt returner. I was kind of self-made. I returned kickoffs.
Yeah,
and you just couldn't pay me to get back there, man. I'm like,
is this the shot right there? Is that
that one right there?
That's the one right
against
there.
Cleveland, man. And,
against Cleveland.
And one of the coaches, and he wasn't too fine in me, and it's like any company, man. When you used to having certain guys, then you bring a new guy in, it kind of rubs some coaches the wrong way. And it was a little bullying. And Monday Night Football, they're like, hey, man, we're going to send you to the dog pound. We're going to see all that talking you do. You catch and punch tonight.
And by the way, they were good back then.
Man,
that wasn't the Cleveland Browns of today.
Yeah, it was Hanford. Another guy should be in the Pro Bowl, Frank Minifield. I mean, you got guys, in a Hall of Fame.
Hall of Fame.
I mean, some
Frank
heck of guys, man, that people don't talk about.
There are a lot. I agree, and I've always agreed with that.
You got Clayton and Duper.
Right.
How can you not bring
Clayton and Duper? Mark
Duper,
Clayton and obviously Mark Duper.
And Duper, why you talking about Isaac Bruce and all these guys?
Yeah.
With Marshall and them on team, man, come on. If Marino in the Hall of Fame, one of these guys had to catch the ball.
Clarence, you got some explaining to do on one thing that happened in your career. I mean, you must explain. You are from South Louisiana, and you played for the Atlanta Falcons. What is up with that?
Well,
explain yourself.
Well, June coached me. June Jones was one of my coaches in the USFL with Houston Gamble. Him and Mouse Davis.
Mouse Davis, yes.
Right.
Yes.
So he called and like, hey, man, we're looking for a punt returner. We just need somebody to catch the ball. We just traded Deion to Frisco.
Right.
We need somebody here to catch the ball. And
so you must be talking like 94-ish?
Yeah.
That was my first full year in Atlanta, so I knew all about June Jones. And
I went there, man, and like you say, and I'm going to say this here. I was always excited when I used to watch the game, the Saints and the Atlanta Falcons. People don't realize other players watch these games too. And it reminded me of a Bayou Classic.
Yes,
it was just like the Bayou
Classic.
And I was like, man, if I could just play in that game. Other than the Super Bowl, let me play in that game.
Right.
And I got my opportunity. Like I said, I'd never seen fans like the Saints fans and the Atlanta Falcon fans, how much good time they had. And it was just a fun game.
See, Bobby Hebert, who obviously is from South Louisiana too, was the Pro Bowl quarterback the year before.
Right.
And then he got hurt, and I believe Jeff George took over.
Me and Jeff, right.
And Jeff George had a gun on him. Did you two have a connection?
Yeah, me and Jeff and I played with the coach. That was my guy, man. Jeff.
That's right. So you played two teams with him.
Right. So he and I, when we got there, and like I say, Bobby was hurt. He was going through shoulder problems. But his dad and mom used to always come to practice. I couldn't get with that. I'm like, dude, why your parents always that? This ain't South Lafourche, man.
This ain't South Lafourche, man. I love it. Right. Yeah, his parents are around. Hey, I got to ask you this, but way before Peyton Manning was with the Colts.
Right.
You met him.
Yeah. Peyton,
you were in high school, and you knew obviously Archie Manning reaches out to you. But tell this story because I think it's fabulous.
Archie called me one night, and I guess they did a segment on the guys from the NFL was practicing at Tulane.
Okay.
And Archie saw it, so Archie called like, hey man, I just saw you all out there working out at Tulane. Me, Pat Swilling.
When they still had the stadium, had it been torn down yet? The old Tulane Stadium.
The old Tulane Stadium was torn down.
Okay.
And they just had the track.
You were working out there,
right?
Okay.
We used to work out there. All the guys from the New Orleans area. And so he called me. So he said, hey man, my son. I would like, if y'all don't mind, can he come out and throw the ball?
And he's in high school.
He's in high school with that Newman, man.
Look how young he is right there.
Never heard of Peyton Manning in my life. Didn't know Archie had kids. Yeah. And so, came out, man. He came out. So I called Curtis Bayham. I talked to Pat. I'm like, hey, man, look, Archie's son coming out here. They said, what? I said, yeah, man, but the problem was we thought he was going to bring his friends out there. They was going to ask for autographs.
Right.
Make it a show thing.
Right.
So we like,
just
man,
said it work.
Yeah, right. So we like, all right, dude, he ain't going to last about a 2-3 days.
Yeah, that's it. He's done.
He's done. We ain't got to worry about it. we granted Archie his wish. Man, let me tell you something. Little kid came out there, young man now, and I was like, nah.
You saw something in this kid?
No, dude. It got to the point where I started calling him. Dude, you got class today? Because I think he was getting out early.
Right.
And can you come throw the ball? And didn't miss a day. Worked out, man. Tom Shaw, all these guys, top trainers, they was out there. And like, nah, this guy's amazing.
Did you realize that he would be that good? I mean, he's one of the greatest of all. You saw it then.
Yeah, man. I told him.
High school kid.
I told Kate, man, I'll never forget this. We was about to leave and go to camp. All of us shaking each other's hand. Good luck, blah, blah, blah. And I said, hey, man, let me tell you something, bro. I say, you're going to be the highest paid football player to ever play this game. And he was real modest guy. No, sir. Just smile, just chuckle. I said, man, I'm telling you. So when I got to camp, I started talking about him to Jeff George. And all these guys, like, hey, man, I got this homeboy. He going to Tennessee. Man, y'all keep an eye on him. At the end of the day, when we was in Atlanta, I said, hey, man, the next year when they paid care, I said, the guy I was telling you about, that's him right there.
That's him.
He replaced. He going to rewrite the books. And he did.
He pretty much did. By the way, he also caused you to get your house egged when Tracey Porter threw the interception. I don't want to rub it in because you were a Colts fan, and all the people down the bayou knew you were, so they egged your house. And
so
here you get paid for that too.
Yeah. But I think it was a setup, man. We did it because of Katrina. You know,
I got you, baby. Yeah, you did it. You helped him out. You had a good heart. The Colts were like, hey, y'all need a little solid. Speaking of solid, I got a great restaurant for you, and your beautiful wife. Y'all going to come to New Orleans and enjoy this. And I got a dilemma right here because you were never a saint, and you're really not that crazy about them, only because they kind of did you wrong with the Finks. And you went to Southwestern, which is now Lafayette, UL. Which one of these balls is less offensive?
I'm gonna do like a high school student doing a signing day.
You gonna sign over Bobby Hebert's name?
I'm gonna sign. No, give me this one here.
You want the LSU one? All right. Oh, by the way, you talking about the hat thing? We started that in Atlanta, by the way.
Hey,
the whole hat thing.
Hey, I'm going Tigers right now in that World Series, man.
Yeah, how about that?
Man, I tell you, bro.
That was great awesome, last week, man. It was awesome.
And I think they play better when they backs against the wall.
Right.
You know, and I think they're gonna sweep them too. They're gonna win these next two.
All right. Well, there he is. That is Clarence Verdin.
I appreciate you, Scott.
Appreciate you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks, bro. Thanks.
The man from Dulac.
Down, do like you want, do like you please.
Dude, do like you want, do like you please.
Oh yeah.
I love it.
Only in Dulac.
I appreciate it. The only guy that might be a bigger character than him is my next guest. His name is Dennis Tracey, and oh boy, wait till you hear his story. Coming up next, right here on Primetime Sports. Welcome back to Primetime Sports, our 4th of July edition. This has been a fun show. Breaux, I had a great time with her. And, of course, just now that was Clarence Verdin. And don't forget we had Stephen Watson, the president of the World War II Museum. He just took over July 1st for that. I've got the president of a lot of other things next right here. His name is Dennis Tracey. Well, he was on a legendary De La Salle team, 40-1 in 1986. And then he went to LSU after a little stop at UNO. And he played on one of the most talented teams in history. That team had Shaquille O'Neal and a guy that was even better than Shaquille at the time, Chris Jackson, one of the most electrifying players I've ever seen, and Stanley Roberts and others. But Dennis was the star of that team. We all know that.
Yeah, thank you.
Welcome to the show, my friend. Let me get the ball back in order. But how you been, man?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Alive and breathing. That's always a good sign.
Well, I mean, if people see your name on the lower third, they're going to see MD behind it. You went to med school, and now you're doing some work in the medical field. Tell people what's up with you.
I work in the aesthetic business. I work for medical companies with new technology. Yeah. And it's, it's been kind of happened by accident, kind of like the situation at LSU, just waiting around to do a residency, and got with a medical company with a new FDA approval and happened to be in the aesthetic field. So here I am 10 years later.
Let's take people back to LSU. I mean, those were some good times. Yeah. I think we both worked in the same bar together. We were in the same fraternity. You're a little bit younger than me. We went to high school together, played on the same basketball team. You're a little bit younger once again. But bottom line is, when you got to LSU, everybody knows about the famous letter you wrote to Dale Brown. No need going over all that again. But when you look at this roster right here, and that guy to your right, actually when you're sitting is to your left, there's a guy named Chris Jackson, now Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf. Easily one of the most electrifying players in the history of the game in college. Shaquille O'Neal, number 33. Big Stanley Roberts, number 53. Vernell Singleton. The list goes on and on.
Gert Hammock, number 1 draft choice.
Gert Hammock, a first-round pick, number 43. That's right.
Wayne Sims, his son's playing right now.
Wayne Sims is fabulous. But talk about this team, man. It was so much fun to watch.
It was a lot of pressure. It was a lot of pressure.
A lot of pressure?
A lot of pressure. We had come out the year before, and we had Ricky Blanton and Chris. It was that team. We did pretty well with that team. We beat UNLV, who won the national championship that year.
I remember that.
We beat Georgetown in the Superdome. We won a classic in Hawaii. So we were pretty good that year. Maybe ran out of gas.
And that's all pre-Shaq, right?
Pre-Shaq.
The year before that, right?
I didn't know who Shaq was at that point. I know he was some skinny guy running around the court dunking on people.
Right.
But we had Chris Jackson. I mean,
something else.
I'm going to sue him soon. I have 2 knee replacements because of that guy.
This guy right here, Chris Jackson. Now explain that real quick. Because you were diving on a lot of floors.
Yeah, I mean, coming out of high school, I was a shooter. I'd like to think that, with a 3-point, we didn't have the 3-pointer back then, but it was 2 points from where I shot from. But, I was one of the leading scorers on the team, Kurt Hankton and I.
40-1 De La Salle team.
We had this guy, point guard named Dwayne Bryant. I don't really remember much.
4-year starter at Georgetown.
Yeah, and, Kurt and I did a lot of the scoring, and I went to, on my way into LSU, I realized, man, how I'm going to play. We had Lyle Mouton, who played professional baseball. So we didn't have a lot of sleps around LSU back then, and the players were of a high quality, and I just realized nobody was playing defense.
That's it. You knew where to make your mark. That's it.
That was it.
You kind of transform your game. And I'm going to say this, because I flew down. I was living in Washington, D.C. at the time. That Georgetown game in '89 that you talk about, that headline right there says it all. Tracey's letter perfect as defender. And I'll never forget, man, Georgetown #1, Alonzo Mourning. They had that team that was completely stacked. Now, LSU's a pretty darn good team itself. But that's one of the greatest moments in LSU basketball history to me. Certainly one that's not in a tournament situation. But they came down to the Dome. They expected to win, but you and the rest of that LSU team were on fire, especially on defense.
We were coming off a couple big victories, and we knew we could compete with anybody. But a lot of for me, it really those guys. I played AAU basketball with them: Jaren Jackson, Jonathan Edwards, Dwayne. So I was very familiar with that team already, and I knew that I had already competed with them. For me, it was it wasn't really a lot of pressure. I don't think we really felt it. Dale did a good job of separating us from the media and the pressure of what was going on and helping us focus on what was the task at hand, which was to go on and play that game. And, luckily Russell Grant's shot got blocked. Ricky grabbed it, and we won. It was.
There's some old pictures of this. You scrapping on the floor right there.
Yeah, I remember. I remember walking onto that floor and looking at my parents in the stands. And tears coming.
I think they took those Polaroids, actually.
Yeah.
Well, this is you at De La Salle.
I don't know. Who the hell is that guy?
Yeah, look at those legs.
Man, those are some good days. Jimmy Tillett was the coach. I mean, we were pretty good. I tell you, we probably could have beat some junior college teams in Division III. We were stacked again. We had Ray Ronquillo, who played football at USL.
Right.
And then Kurt went on to play at Auburn, and Dwayne at Georgetown. And I played at LSU, and Jay Fazant was even in there. He played later on. So, I mean, we were...
They had some talent on that team. 40-1, it just speaks for itself. I'm friends with Dino Hansen, and he was going to come on. He played for St. Aug, and I'm like, I said, Dennis Tracey's going to be there. I said, you remember him? Remember, the last time when you were junior, they beat you twice? He's like, how would you know that? I said, because they beat everybody. They were 40-1.
Well, I can say 2 things. Never lost it at the St. Aug gym or the Jesuit gym. So that was 2 of my highest.
Nice.
Yeah. Never lost it.
Not many folks can
and
say
never
that.
lost at Kentucky when I played. So, those are kind of 3 accomplishments I hold on to. But, Donald Roll played for the Magic. And I used to have a good time with it because they had a pretty good team. Donald Roll.
Yes.
Who was the other player on that team? I can't remember.
I think his name was Shaquille O'Neal.
No.
Penny Hardaway?
No, I'm talking. No, not the
Nick Anderson? Are we
the
talking
high
about
school
the
team. Donald Roll.
Avery Johnson.
Avery Johnson. There you go. And
I'm rattling off the Orlando Magic team.
You start talking about some of the players coming out of New Orleans. I mean, Avery Johnson, Donald Roll. And we would have played him, and we'd have liked to play that other guy out of where the hell did he go to school?
What guy?
The Villanova kid. What was his name?
Kerry Kittle?
Oh, yeah, Kerry Kittles. We'd like to play that team, too.
But it's funny you mentioned all the Georgetown guys. You mentioned all three of those that you mentioned, but the guy that I remember going up against was from Carver, Perry McDonald. I mean, John Thompson had an absolute pipeline down here. But I got
he didn't get me.
He tried. For obvious reasons, he did not get you. But going to Orlando, obviously, after LSU, you lived and worked with Shaq. I remember I was producing games for TNT. I remember going down there. There's you and Mickey Mouse. You had a kind of a fun little amusement park ride, basically, in there. Kind of talk about those 4 years in Orlando. There you are on the Sea-Doo with the big fella.
Where did you get that one from? Okay. Yeah, we did. You know, it was
That's Joe.
The luck of a Joe Cavallero.
Right.
I missed my man Joe. But it was luck of a ping pong ball.
Yeah.
A ping pong ball decided where we went, right?
Yeah, you could have gone anywhere.
With Minnesota, and thank God they came up 3.
Man, boy,
and then
that would have been exciting.
Oh, yeah, that would have been terrible. And then it was Charlotte or Orlando, and we got the best other 3. It was great. It was kind of like a Disney World. We had gates in our house, and we used to tell people it's like going through Disney World's gates. When those gates open, you leave, it's a whole other world. So we had our own little complex, and we kept to ourselves. And
is that where you met this Cindy Crawford in this picture right here?
Oh, yeah. You got that one?
Yeah, we dug deep.
I want to make sure you got that one on. That's the only one that's important to me.
I think we got some algae on the bottom of something. But yeah, okay. Is this your modeling? By the way, I got to bring up Blue Chips because we're going to show some pictures of Blue Chips, the movie that you were in, the great Shaquille O'Neal movie. Nick Nolte was the thing. And this is going to be kind of a Where's Waldo? See if you can find Dennis in these pictures. So that's obviously the stars, players. Okay, there's Dennis. Okay, I see Dennis behind the coach. Okay, he's behind the coach. Now keep going, next one. Let's go. Oh, that's a good shot. That's him straight ahead. You know, the white guy in the middle right there. So that's right on. But we got some other ones you're going to have to barely find. See the guy with his arm raised? That's Dennis right behind him. So that's it right there. Keep going. We got some more.
Now we have some good time.
Go forward. All right. That's just Blue Chips. Now I'm having some fun with Nick Nolte, who was your co-star. And I use that word loosely, co-star. Nick Nolte looked great back in that day, and that was only 25 years ago. He was the sexiest man alive. This is a young Nick Nolte in the movie. That's only 25 years ago. All right, so there he is, sexiest man alive. And there he is looking sharp, man. This dude had it going. But just 10 years later, here's Nick Nolte on a bad hair day. That is
man,
early
2000s. Look at that.
And then we got some more bad hair days.
Oh, my Lord.
And poor Nick. I'm going to say this because we all get old, and God bless, because I look so much older than I did back then. However, my man Nick had been great to work with because he's a man's man.
There's a couple guys that stand out, and you know, through when I was there for the 40, we became good friends with Nick.
Yeah.
And Billy Freakin, who's Academy Award winner.
Sure,
they became good friends of ours.
Yeah.
And they also spent a lot of time in New Orleans. A lot of people don't know. A lot of the movie stars and, you know, athletes, they like to come down here. A lot of them have places down in the Quarter.
Yes.
So it was pretty unique. And I remember walking through the Quarter one day with Nick. I used to take the daily walk with him. And my parents happened to be down there at dinner, and we popped in on them. It was pretty cool stuff. I mean, it was a good day.
Dude, I mean, there's one thing they can't take away, your memories or your SAG card. Because
that's right.
You've got that puppy forever.
It's $13 this quarter.
$13 a quarter, so it's $52 a year. I did my math. I went to De La Salle. I did that quick, right?
I went to De La Salle, but I was an athlete.
By the way, take your beautiful daughter, Sydney, here. Sydney is watching this show with us. She is gorgeous, and you got some great kids. I feel like I know all of them, or at least some of them a little better than others.
Yes.
But we're going to sign a couple balls. It's been a pleasure to have you on. Enjoy. That's our basketball. It's got Will Wade. That's got Johnny Arthurs. That's got Carl Malone. Just don't sign near Carl's name.
Carl, huh?
And then we're going to sign LSU.
Got to make sure I sign the right name.
Dennis Tracey. Got a lot of folks to thank because this is 4th of July show, and a lot of people came in to work this great day on the 4th. So I want to thank them all, particularly my producer, Will Hill, of course, Jay Smoove and Christy. And don't forget the Redhead Tsunami. But, hey, the guy that makes me here, Kenny Juno. Thank you all and everybody at WLAE and CST. Everybody have a happy 4th of July and the rest of the summer. We'll be back next week.